welcome everybody to another exciting episode of HomeKit Insider. You got me, your host as always, Andrew O'Hara, and this episode is brought to you by Notion Agent. More on that in a few. So everyone, it has been a crazy week, and we'll call this like the maintenance episode of the show, because I am really excited about some of the stuff to talk about that I've been working on in my home, and there's a lot of stuff to kind of get into. We also have a review that's a little bit different that I'm going to go through, and we have a few news items that I think are pretty cool. So we're going to go ahead and move into all that. Again, as a reminder, on next week's episode, I believe we're punting that one to Tuesday for reasons that will become clear. You're really not going to want to miss that episode. I'm pretty excited about it. So let's go ahead and jump into this. And I will say right up front, I'm still sick. Like, it has literally been like 2 months. Everyone who has children has to know this, but this is like my first like real taste of like child, because he is now gone to preschool and everything. So he's bringing all the fun stuff home. I expected this. I'm not surprised by this, but it has been more than like 2 months with this persistent cough, and it is rough. So I'm going to do my best to make it through this episode and talk normal and cut out all of the coughing that I inevitably will have to do. So let's go ahead, jump into it. Starting out with tvOS 26.1 has been released, as well as Apple's other software updates, right? We got updates for HomePod, we got the ones for like Vision Pro and Apple, or iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, macOS, all of those things too. But for us, tvOS 26.1 is probably the most noteworthy one of the lot, just because we're a smart home, right? We talk about smart home stuff here. The only thing really changed with this update, though, is the Apple TV Plus rebrand. Apple has switched it from Apple TV Plus to just Apple TV. This update to all of Apple's platforms brought that to the forefront. There's a new Apple TV icon across everything. It is much more colorful, still black, but the white letters now has some like colors going on behind it. Additionally, Apple has updated all like the actual apps to remove all the plus from everything, and they just say Apple TV now. Apple says this is a vibrant rebrand, and we even saw really cool new intro sequence that Apple is putting with some music done by Phineas, which is just amazing. There's multiple versions of it, including for like actual films and then Apple TV, but it looks fantastic. And I don't know if everyone saw this, but they actually shot this thing with practical effects, which I think is exceptionally cool. Like, it doesn't even look real. They just did an amazing job on this cool thing. Check it out. Watch any Apple TV show, and it is there. Also, since we're talking Apple TV, who's watched Pluribus? Because it is amazing. I loved the first 2 episodes. Watched it like ultra wide on Apple Vision Pro, and just mind blown. Like, just really, really cool. And I loved that going into it, I had no idea what it was about other than just the tagline and the creator of the show. So we'll have to see. I'm excited about it. Everyone seems to be loving it. I know Vince Gilligan actually said he thinks it's probably going to be like a 4-season show, but he also like underestimated how long Breaking Bad would go. So we'll have to see how this actually plays out. But it's an amazing show with just those first 2 episodes. So excited to see how it evolves after that. Now, besides 26.1 coming out, we also got our first round of 26.2 betas, and there are a few changes in this beta wave that we can talk about. First, there is a new reference added to code for the Home app called is first party. Now, what that means is Apple already has existing tags to identify its own devices. There's one that is Apple TV, and the other one is HomePod. That's how Apple identifies basically its products versus all the third-party ones that are out there. So this new tag of is first party is clearly, at least in my professional opinion, indicative of Apple's work on multiple new device types. Right? If it was just making a smart display, it maybe call it, is Smart Display or is Apple Display, whatever Apple happens to name this thing, right? But it's not doing that. Apple instead is just going for something more broad that could apply to multiple different accessories. And this does line up with a lot of the rumors that have been going around saying that Apple is working on both a camera as well as a doorbell for Apple Home users potentially matter, all of that. So I think this is just kind of further proof of that. We're still not getting anything. I think that 2026 was the earliest we may see cameras, like the end of 2026 from Apple, but who knows? So 26.2 should be coming out to everybody in December, and then we'll get probably no new hardware though until 2026 spring at the earliest. There was also one other thing with tvOS 26.2 that I think is worth noting. Apple is changing profiles a bit. Now, if you when you create profiles for the Apple TV, you no longer have to have an Apple ID tied to it, right? So if I was adding Harrison to our Apple TVs, I do need to actually go in, sign in with his Apple ID, good. But with 26.2 of tvOS, you can just create them. On top of that, Apple gives you a toggle of whether or not it's a kid, and if so, it will limit the content. So it's only going to show content that is relevant to their age range. So it's only going to show like PG and G and things like that for TV shows. So they won't even see any of these other ones populating on the Apple TV. So that's really cool. Apple really is kind of making this effort to get people to use profiles. We'll see if it pays off. We'll see if more apps start to kind of tie to them. Because, we'll talk about it more in a few, but that's what's new in 26.2. across Apple's platforms. Before we get into the next news, let's thank our first sponsor for the episode, Function. What I love about Function is I'm able to take control of my own health. That's like a theme across my life, whether it is taking control of my smart home, taking control of finances, and in this case, taking control of my health. I've been doing this for ages with so much other smart tech. Like, there's been so many smart tech devices for so long before even Apple Watch. Like, I had sleep tracking devices. I had the Jawbone Up bands. Like, I loved those things. I had to get them replaced like 10 times, but they were fantastic. But yeah, I've been doing all this stuff for a while. But there's only so much you can do with gadgets and gizmos around your house and around your body. Function takes things further and gives you a near 360 view to see what's happening in your body, and then lets you take the actions that you need after that. I think it is amazing. It is accessible, and it's easy to do. There are over 2,000 lab locations. Like, when I signed up, I had an appointment the next day to go get my first lab work done, and then I did my second lab work, and then I had results coming in within a day or two after that, basically. It was so quick. And then you get these lab results back and they break them down in just like plain English of what this means. Like, it tells you what the numbers are, tells you what they should be, and then gives you like a description of why this matters, what it means. I mean, we're going into the holidays right now. Not only people are getting sick like me, you're dealing with family stress. We have different health months, like we're going into Movember for prostate cancer. There's a lot of different things that you can learn about your body by doing something like Function Health. You get all of this data. It shows you in one spot with I think it's like over 100 different biomarkers that Function tests for you, and then you can see what they all mean and see how they're impacting your actual health and daily life. I love that. Once I got my results back, I actually got a whole breakdown from a doctor saying, hey, this is what's going on with you. This is what you should worry about. This is what you shouldn't worry about. If there was something crazy, it would tell you to go see like your doctor and do further testing. But other than that, it just gives you information where you can do what you want with it. So like for me, I had a few different things that were elevated, a few things that I could change. And I went and I adjusted my daily multivitamin to fix some of the deficiencies that I had in my life. Like, I got 2 kids. I got a whole bunch of stuff going on. I got podcasts to record. I need to be at my peak. And Function Health helps me do that by getting those little things in there. And I love that they don't try to sell you stuff. Like, they're not like, here's a problem, here's a deficiency you have, and here's a vitamin supplement that'll fix it. No, they're just giving you data, and then you can take that and do what you want to make yourself better. Whether it is changing a supplement, whether it's just dietary changes, lifestyle changes, all of that. So I have been a huge fan of this. I love pouring through that data and understanding myself better. And then you can even track it over time, which is really cool, because then you can actually see improvements to yourself. So you can feel how you're feeling better, and then you can also see how things are changing in actual data. It's amazing. So learn more and join using my link. Function is a near 360 view to see what's happening in your body, and my first 1,000 followers get a $100 credit towards their membership. Visit www.functionhealth.com/HomeKit or use gift code HomeKit100 at sign up to own your health. The biggest news, though, this week has been Ikea. IKEA finally released its lineup of new smart home devices, and this is amazing. Like literally from top to bottom, amazing. Whether you are a fan of IKEA and its devices, or whether you are just a smart home fan, which I believe most of you would be. Because with this, it is really kind of like IKEA putting its whole weight behind the smart home, and that is only a good thing. IKEA is a massive company, and to see their faith with this many new products is incredible. There are 21 new smart home devices. These devices are basically abandoning Zigbee. They are all Matter over Thread, and they will be shipping in early 2026. Let's go through some of them because there's a couple of these that I'm super jazzed about. Of course, we have bulbs, right? Bulbs are going to be typical. They're needed and everything. You guys are going to make me say a bunch of these words, and I'm not going to be able to. So this is the Kajplatz collection. There's 11 different smart bulbs here. Standard globe shaped, compact smart bulbs. There's a GU10 directional spot. All of these are also available in like dimmable white or full color spectrums, and there are decorative bulbs in 3 different sizes, though those ones are only in white. So several different smart bulbs for the common scenarios out there. Then we have the remotes. These are the These are the remotes. There are 2 different versions of these. These are at the top of my list for things that I really like. There's a 2-button one, and then there was another one that has like a button, but also a scroll wheel. And they're meant to be generic and not just used for lighting, which I think is really nice. Like they're not just like directly tied to an IKEA light bulb. You could use these for whatever. So like the little scroll wheel could be for temperature or volume or whatever it happens to be. But they also come in really cool colors. There's like a red, green, then more of a standard beige, and they sell them in 3 packs or by themselves. This is awesome. I love it. They're colorful. They're cool. I love the scroll wheel. They are simple. Like, I'm about these. These are fantastic. With more devices, we have smart plugs, the Grillplatz. They look like a standard smart plug, though they do have energy tracking, which is always good to see. There's the Meebet, which is a contact sensor, so doors, windows, your mailbox, whatever it happens to be. There's the Spray, which is a motion sensor, and it's an indoor-outdoor motion sensor. That's always good to see. There's the Kleepbach, which is a water sensor. It'll not only send you the alert, but there is a chime on the body of the device itself, so you can still hear it audibly, even if you don't have a phone, watch, whatever, around you to alert you. Then there's the Timmerfot, which is a temperature and humidity sensor. You can cycle through the different metrics on the top. There's a little pixelated display, which looks really cool. Press the button, cycle through to show you like the time, temperature, or not time, just the temperature and humidity on there. Then there's the Alpstuga, which looks kind of like a little clock. It's very cute, very adorable. It's an air quality sensor with CO2, PM2.5, temperature, and humidity. And this is specifically designed to also work with the existing air purifiers from IKEA. So it still will work on its own, but it's also great as like a remote sensor for the air purifiers that IKEA already sells. So yeah, 21 new devices here from IKEA. This is amazing. Like IKEA is really coming for the smart home. They've covered a ton of ground. Like I can't believe that all of these devices and all these categories are launching at the same time. I think that is huge. It's not a staggered rollout. I mean, you see something like, Belkin or whoever. It's like, we have one smart button and it'll work with Thread and Matter. And it's like, that's one. And IKEA's like, here's 21 of them all at the same time with really nice designs, features, etc. So I'm all about this. I think this is great. I'm going to be picking some of these up. At a minimum, the remotes. Like, those are coming home with me. We'll see about everything else because I do have a lot of those things. But that Alpstuka that has like the clock look to it, I really think that's neat too. So I'm going to probably try a few of these when they come out in early 2026. Before jumping into the product review for this episode, let's thank our sponsor, second sponsor for the episode, Notion and Notion Agent. I'm sure many of you out there use Notion if you haven't heard about it quite a bit. I've used it a ton. I know my wife used it. That was her entire company was run on Notion. Everything that they did was in Notion, like help docs, support docs, like meeting notes, action plans, like everything they did was in Notion, which was pretty darn impressive how well they were able to use it. Like power users in Notion are a different breed, and it is amazing. But Notion Agent, I think, is incredibly cool. Now, for me, like I have a lot that I run, like with Apple Insider. I am writing reviews. I do a ton of photography for the site. I have the HomeKit Insider podcast that I do with you guys. Not to mention like scheduling this and everything with like guests and notes. It's a whole bunch of things. But I also like run the YouTube channel and our short form channels. Like I'm doing all of those too. And it is a lot. And then I have to work with, all these different team members throughout Apple Insider, whether it is working on like sponsorship stuff or just product reviews or whatever it happens to be. There's a lot going on. And Notion AI or Notion Agent is like this extra team member that you can use to help you get stuff done. Like tasks that used to take a bunch of your time can now be done in mere minutes. Like Notion brings all your notes, documents, projects into one connected space that just works. It's seamless, flexible, powerful, and actually fun to use. With AI built right in, you spend less time switching between tools and more time creating great work. And now with Notion AI, your AI doesn't just help with your work, it finishes it. Like I deal with a lot of like for video production alone, I have scripts, I have scheduling, I have multiple team members that I am working with. So like I have to get a bunch of ideas and I have to generate topics and scripts and proofread things and all these different parts that I track through Notion, and Notion Agent is able to kind of like automate a ton of these things. I can give it general ideas of a video and it can like handle like 10 different tasks that I would normally have to do by myself. It is amazing how much you can do. And if you're getting like crazy, like doing stuff with like databases, Notion Agent is even better. Like you can build a project plan with deliverable database. You can set up different themes. You can set up task deadlines, owners to who are dealing with different parts of things and when their deadlines are, creating kickoff documents, scheduling weekly status reports, like all of these things with just like one prompt. It's amazing. Notion Agent is extremely cool. It's a fun way to kind of get stuff done that is super productive. I've talked about AI before throughout like episodes or sponsors, and I think AI can be overused in a lot of different ways, but it's really cool to see companies like Notion taking AI and then making it actually useful. Right? You're not just throwing a bunch of things into a generic prompt and then still having to largely do everything yourself. It's not just a chatbot here. It's basically an extra teammate. So try Notion now with Notion Agent at notion.com/HomeKit. That's all lowercase letters, notion.com/HomeKit to try your new AI teammate, Notion Agent, today. And when you use our link, you're supporting our show, notion.com/HomeKit. So I wanted to do a different product review today. I have a few things set on my desk that I want to get through, like the new Flick Twist or Flick button, that Flick Duo. That's the one, right? That just came out. I've been playing around with that yet, but I haven't quite fully nailed down how I want to use it. So I wasn't really prepared to do a full review on that yet. But I still want to be able to talk about something. And I have had one thing that I've been using for probably a year now that I kind of wanted to talk about on the show. So I've been testing out the Synology DS723 Plus. And this is a 2-bay NAS, so network attached storage. And it's one of those things that I feel like almost everyone can benefit from in some way. But it's a device that has like a category that is so broad, it's hard to nail down exactly the best use case for it, right? It reminds me like the Brilliant panels. I go to them as a good example. It does a lot of things, and it's kind of hard just to give it a really short elevator pitch on what it does. It's not a button, right, that you can say, use this to control your smart home. NAS can be so many things to so many people. I will say this is probably like the third or fourth Synology NAS that I have had over time. I had one way back in college that I used as just this verbose media server. And then I had another one that I was using for work files. It was just network attached storage, literally. It was just this file server that I could access from anywhere, and was really, really handy. And then I recently, in the past year, moved to the DS723 Plus, which I technically do not think is quite available anymore. I'm sure there are newer models out that are even better than what I have, but a lot of the stuff from Synology, like there's so many different drives out there, and they just kind of change like how many bays you have, how many ports you have, the processors are on the inside, things like that. So a lot of stuff carries over, like the Synology operating system and all of that. So there's a few different things, especially when it comes to the smart home, that I think are useful. There's two main use cases for smart home users that I would like to point out. First is for cameras. Now, Synology actually says there is a massive number of cameras that support 24/7 video surveillance on here. Like, there's over 8,300 camera models that they tout specifically with support. So they have full, like, on-disk support with a huge array of cameras, and they can do things like event-based rules to trigger actions and notifications, EMS, SMS, push notification alerts, and also, of course, like private and subscription free, which is really, really handy. I've actually been trying to kind of play around with this using some of my more recent smart home cameras. Like I was doing with like a little bit with the Aqara ones. I never got everything to fully work, but then I just started putting the micro SD cards, and that sorted that out for me, which is good because I'm using the storage for another purpose. I'll talk about in a second. But I think that's a really, really helpful use case. I mean, you can use that just at your home, but it's also great for businesses and things like that. As far as the second use case, it's the media server. This is my favorite thing about this. It is incredibly simple to set up a Plex media server, and I've been living in the Plex app so much recently. Like, I took my entire collection of like DVDs and Blu-rays, I ripped them into my computer and created this massive library of like hundreds and hundreds of movies and TV episodes. Like, I took my wife's catalog of I Love Lucy episodes, and many of them like literally aren't available or weren't available on streaming because when they signed these deals, they didn't get licensing rights for music, and a lot of the especially early episodes of I Love Lucy had a ton of music in them, and they literally just wouldn't stream them because of those music rights. So I think that may have gotten sorted out fairly recently, but because of that, she had all the DVDs. So I went through and I ripped them all to my computer and gave her a media library of all the I Love Lucy episodes, her like favorite TV show, to go back through and watch. It works so well. And I also combined it with, what's it called? iFlix. So I actually take like the files, I rip them over, then I use iFlix to actually add a whole bunch of metadata to these, and then I just drag and drop it right into the network attached storage, and then Plex will automatically see this, add it to my library, and I just turn on my Apple TV, go to the Plex app, and boom, I have an entire library of movies and TV shows that I can watch. And it just works so well between Apple TV, the Plex software, and this network attached storage that I love. So you have the actual two drives on here itself, the two larger bays in the front. Around the back, you have, on the front, you still have a USB 3.2 type A port. Then around back, you have 2 gigabit Ethernet ports as well as an eSATA port. Now, if you want to get fancy, I believe there is a network upgrade slot that you can use. And then on the bottom, there are 2, I want to say, M.2 NVMe SSD slots for even faster storage. I have been using this now. I've had no problems with it. It is so fast to spin up. I'm watching 4K movies from Plex that I've been upgrading to the faster, like 10 gigabit Ethernet port that you can put in there if you wanted to. So like, I've had no problem with it at all. It's really, really quick. Now, if you had a bunch of cameras going for like 24/7 video surveillance, something like that, then you could probably benefit from the higher bandwidth Ethernet if you have the rest of your home or office set up with that. But I think it's still really cool. I really want to I'm torn because I want to tell you more about how like nice this drive is, but I also know that without it being currently available, none of that really helps. It's got a Ryzen processor on the inside, but I'm just really curious how many other people out there use these because I find it so beneficial. You can also use this for like a photo backup. My wife shoots a ton of photography. This is where we store that. So you can plug in like a USB drive right to the front of this and use it as additional storage too. So like I have an actual USB-A drive that I plug into the front of it, and that's her photo library. So she shoots everything and then backs it up to the NAS. It's super helpful. I just think this is a really helpful smart home device that not a lot of people still have these days. And I'm curious. So let me know, write into me, Andrew at appleinsider.com, Twitter, Andrew_OSU, like all the different ways. Let me know who out there is still using a NAS, which one you're using, and what kind of benefits it has. Synology's been in this game for a really long time. They're not sponsoring this, by the way. They're not paying me to say that to you guys. I just really like their products for the most part, and I have bought several of their drives in the past. So the way that I got this one, my last one actually broke, and then I reached out and I was like, we'll just send you another one. So like, that's great. I'm not saying they're going to do that to everyone, but it was really nice of them. They're like, yeah, if you can do a review, that'd be really helpful, but we'll just send you a replacement one because the other one died, which I'm pretty sure were my drives on the inside. But either way, our home runs on this thing for so much media. I think they're super helpful. Let me know if you guys use a NAS as well. Before we get into the meat, the potatoes of the episode, what I really want to talk about, let's take our last and final sponsor for the episode, Incogni. Now, one of the things that I'm really kind of particular about, and I think a lot of you would probably agree with, is privacy. Like, privacy and security are some of the most important things, and obviously Apple takes that seriously. It's a reason why many of us like Apple Home, like super private, super secure. Well, Incogni kind of has that vision in mind. Basically, they help you remove your information from online. Like, literally, it's funny that this is the sponsor because about a week or so ago, I was Googling someone for a reason. Like, it's someone I knew for a specific reason, just to confirm something, okay? I'm not being creepy or shady, but when I did, I was like, wait, they have, like, their address. They have their phone number listed, and they had, like, likely related to this person, this person, this person, this person. Like, holy smokes, all of this is available, like, literally with a Google search without even having to do it. Like, I know some data can be behind paywalls. No, this wasn't. This was literally just on a Google search, and it is incredibly creepy. Like, the way that data brokers and people are able to take different information, your name, address, phone number, financial income, or financial info, income, and hundreds of other records, and then combine them together, they can then sell them and share it publicly without your consent. And Incogni is here to basically put an end to that. It also helps with one of the other biggest things that I deal with, and I think many of you do too, and that is spam, whether it is phone calls, text messages, or emails, because they cannot spam you if they cannot find you. Like, when I was Googling that person and just found their number online, yeah, guess what? They receive a ridiculous number of spam calls. And I'm pretty sure mine is out there as well like that. So it's Incogni that can help that. They literally go out there, they find all these different data brokers, websites that have your personal information and then get it removed. And you don't need to do everything. Like, it hunts these unethical sites down for you and then has them removed without you having to do anything. Like, you just give them permission to act on your behalf, and then they go and demand that data be deleted. It's the way they describe it is like a digital hitman for your data, and I love that. I just love that it works in the background and does this stuff for you, where you just sign up and say, please take care of this. Just go and make this better for me. That would be great. No emails, no forms, no extra hoops. They handle the entire data process for you. It's just really, really incredible and impressive how well this works and how much they're able to find and how much it can even cut down on the spam phone calls, text messages, emails that you get at the same time. We've talked about health data. This can also help protect things like that. This is super, super useful. So if you want, please go and try it out. They have a whole deal going on, like going into the holidays and Black Friday. So go check it out. Right now, you can get 60% off an annual plan by going to incogni.com and use code HomeKit. That is INCOGNI.com/HomeKit and use the code HomeKit at checkout. Okay, so the reason I call this like the maintenance episode of the podcast is because I have been doing a ton of work around our house, around our smart home. So I'm going to break down some of the stuff that I have been doing to kind of round out the year in the home, things where I've had, been putting things off, projects that I've been working on, and maybe you guys will get some ideas, and maybe you guys will share some ideas with me that I will talk about in the future episodes. So starting out, there's a few apps that I immediately go into that I kind of rely on for a lot of stuff. HomePass is amazing. Aaron Pierce's home app, a HomePass, super, super helpful. I actually had a couple sensors that I had upgraded to Matter, and I did not have the pairing codes any longer. And I go into HomePass, I'm like, oh no, I did not save them for whatever reason. I was being a lazy person and didn't save those codes into HomePass, and it was a whole situation. And I ended up talking to Dan Turk, who's often on the show, and he reminded me, he's like, what if when you did the upgrade, you screenshotted it? He's like, go look in photos. I'm like, I can't remember when it was, though. And he's like, no, Andrew. Look by searching for QR code or Matter. And sure enough, I typed in Matter into the search in photos, and I found my codes, and I could get my stuff working again, which was great. But had I been smarter about it, they all would have been in HomePass, and I would have had no problems. So HomePass, make sure you're trying it, and if you have a lot of devices, maybe go and spend some time and put your stuff in there, just in case you end up in a weird situation. I also really like HomeBatteries. Always really helpful. I went in there, I found all the devices in the house that were dead, needed batteries replaced, charged, whatever, and I got them all taken care of, right? Actually, too, I got an O station, which is this batteries thing, which is really, really cool. Because I've been burning through a bunch of AA batteries. So instead of buying more AA's, I got this O station. And what it does is you take the batteries, you just dump them all into the top. You don't have to worry about orientation. It goes in, checks each battery, charges it with the proper orientation, no matter which way it's in, then we'll deposit it at the bottom when you're done. So you have a dead reservoir at the top, the battery charging and everything in the middle, and then the charged batteries at the bottom. And if it detects a bad battery, one that's broken, one that's not rechargeable, different size, whatever it is, it'll kick it out into a little drawer so you can look at them, dispose of them, whatever you need. But it's really, really helpful. So I got this one with 32 extra batteries included. So I've been using these on the Aqara video doorbells, the Blink cameras, and it's been super, super helpful in just not burning through a bunch of AA batteries and just buying more of them. So that's been very nice. I will put a link for it in the show notes if anyone's interested. But yeah, I think with Thread, battery life has been better on a lot of my devices, but still going through batteries for some of them, and at least once a year, it's probably good to charge or upgrade some of them that you have not swapped out for a while. The next thing I did in my home was go through and remove a lot of the devices that I needed to remove, that I was no longer using. And there's a lot of these. I have a bunch that have either they were broken, not used, or they were for reviews, right? I review a ton of things. I don't always use everything. Some of the stuff gets, returned, whatever, but I'm not using it. I have some old Hue bulbs that are still in there, from the OG set that I had. And they had long died because it's been more than 10 years. And those are still in there, so I got rid of those. I had created a Raspberry Pi camera, and it was still working. But why keep using that? I have all these other new Aqara G100s I've been talking about, so I didn't need that anymore. It wasn't as high resolution and everything else, so I pulled that, got that recycled and gotten rid of. I also got rid of my Arlo cams, which I have been a big fan of. I still really recommend for wireless cameras, but with a few of the blinks out in the back, and with the new Aqaras I've been testing out, and with the Matter stuff kind of approaching, I didn't need them. I have not been charging them as much, so I removed those just to get all the empty camera feeds out of the app. So maybe go through, see if there's extra smart home stuff you guys don't have that you're not using, and clear those out. I also did a few things on the Apple TVs. We have finally started using the profiles. It got to the point where Harrison was watching enough random things that was bloating up our feed. And same thing for my wife. I watch a lot of TV shows that she doesn't watch, and those pushed her stuff back. So we finally started using that with the new update because it'll automatically prompt us to sign into profiles. It makes it really easy. So that's been helpful. Now we just need the actual apps like Hulu and Netflix and such to embrace them as well. So when Faith chooses her name, Hulu also signs her into her profile too. which right now it doesn't. Then it comes the fun thing, which is new devices. I have done a bunch of new stuff recently. Starting out with here in the studio, I've added the K11 Plus, I believe, which is the SwitchBot robotic vacuum. It's the small one. I don't care as much about mopping in here, but I definitely want vacuuming to happen, and it does a really good job of getting underneath all the desks and everything. So that's been really cool, and it works with Matter. In H's room, I added an Eve flare. Really cool. He loves to carry it around. There's a button on the bottom so you can use it to change the colors. He loves it. Probably going to play around more with that, but yeah, so the Eve flare, the dome, I have one behind me on set too if you're watching the video version of this. The Aqara G3, I've had this one for a while, and I kind of just use it as a hub for the cat food dispenser. It never really worked as a camera. Like, I didn't use it as a camera. It worked just fine. But now we put that into the playroom. This is the part of our basement we've been remodeling. We put that down there. We can watch Harrison. The camera actually moves, so you can like control it from the Aqara app, but it also supports like HomeKit secure video and all of those things. So I can just use it for a HomeKit secure video camera, but then you're able to control it through the Aqara one, and it has like the additional AI features like loud noise detection or scream detection. So if Harrison's ever playing downstairs and I like walked into our room or somewhere like far enough away that I couldn't like immediately hear him right away, I actually would get an alert. Faith was down there, dropped something, it was loud, and I got an alert right away on my watching loud noise detected in the playroom. And it does give you like the little thumbnail with like the picture and everything, so I could see there was Faith and everything was okay. Still go and check it out, but for Harrison, if he's ever playing and watching TV, whatever, on his own, it's nice to have those extra alerts kind of going on, so I do like that a lot. I put an Aqara P2 sensor into the mailbox. Love this as well. I get an alert every time that the mailbox is opened and closed. I had tried this before, but it wasn't always connecting, and I think the reason why is like the thread range wasn't far enough. But now I have the Aqara G5 Pro on the porch, which now acts as a thread border router, gives me that extra range. The thing works with Matter. Super, super nice. And I love, like, I'm down here in the studio. I know when the mail comes because I get the alert that the mailbox was open and then closed. Replaced several air purifiers, new filters, things like that. We got through the fall, got through a lot of allergen stuff, so putting new ones in to go into the cooler months and everything. My Miele air purifier may have broken, which I think was actually Harrison because he jammed a bunch of things in it. I'm going to try to fix it, but if not, I'm going to swap that one out. I really liked them because they had like pet-specific filters, which is great because it was by the litter box. But if it's not working, it's not working. So I'm probably going to remove that from the app, recycle it, and possibly put a new one in there where that one was. For the chicken coop, we've added a bunch there. You guys know my problems. Right now, our problem is mice. Like I relocated one of the cameras on the inside, and I see all the chickens at night, but I see like literally like 5-6 mice running around all at the same time. So now I have a mice problem to deal with, aside from like the raccoons and everything else that was killing the chickens. That is mostly solved or is solved, but now I have to worry about mice. They're destroying all the insulation and all these other problems. So they gotta go. I'm trying some mints and other natural remedies as like starters, but we'll go from there. But trying to get rid of some mice back there, so that would be really handy. And I actually do want to add more Blink cameras, but they work really well from far away. I wish they supported Apple Home and stuff, but no. But I want to be able to see like when an egg is laid and things like that. And it's weird because I was looking at the cameras and they're like more expensive when you buy add-on cameras than you buying like the starter kits. So I thought that was kind of funny. And then finally, there in the playroom, I installed the Nanoleaf Skylight. Took me a little longer than I thought it would, but amazing. These are like the ceiling installed panels. A little funky to install, but they were very easy to do. They look amazing. Super bright, Wi-Fi, immediately upgraded the basement's looks. Massive fan of them. Faith spray painted, we did matte black all over the ceiling, which is the same thing we did here in the studio. It looks really good. Skylight looks amazing. These are fantastic. But yeah, so that is just some of the stuff that I've been doing recently around the smart home. I want to hear about you guys. Do you guys have any kind of maintenance stuff that you guys do for your smart home? Let me know. You can email me at andrew@appleinsider.com. Twitter at Andrew_OSU, or you can let me know on YouTube, where you can watch the video version of this podcast, youtube.com/HomeKit Insider. Let me know all of your thoughts. Otherwise, stay tuned for next week's episode. It's going to be a big one, debuting on the 18th, I want to say, Tuesday. It's going to be fantastic. So I will see you guys all then. Make sure to give the podcast a 5, 10, 100 star rating on your podcast player of choice. And I'll see you guys on the next episode.